Ask not what we all be can do for you. Ask what you can do for we all be.
Hey, Ron, son, Mama D here. Happy Father's Day to you. You never know what little Ron herds or RTC2s are running around. And they just didn't tell you.
And welcome, Black family, to another wonderful and very important edition of the Artivist Presents We All Be News and Radio. I'm your host for the Empowerment segment, R2C2H2, the Artivist, also known as Brother Ron. We got a very important show with you today with a very well-known guest, which is really like family. He's going to be sharing some insights on some very important things going on in the world today. Unless you've been hiding on a rug or a rock somewhere, sleeping and comatose, you should know what's going down right now in Ferguson town, near St. Louis, USA. That's St. Louis, Missouri. Some people call it Missouri. Some people call it Missouri. But I call it Misery. And here in Misery with the one and only a man who's truly beyond category with a lot of insight to give, a true master teacher extraordinaire, the Honorable Brother Dick Gregory. How you doing tonight, sir?
Thank you, my brother. Peace and love to you and all the family. And I just cannot thank you enough. Because when they talk about social radio, you're the epitome of it. I can't believe how many affairs I go to around the country and bump into you. So you're not just one of the ones that sit behind the desk, which is nothing wrong with it.
Yes,
the
sir.
Information can come, but you go out there and look at it and feel it and see it. And so what we've been looking at lately is what's happened in Ferguson. Missouri, outside of St. Louis, and we just say, a shout out to the family. It's one thing having a child of yours killed. That's hard enough. Then you look at the lies that come out and all of the stuff that come out, and for some reason you can pick it up on social radio, but NBC and CBS and ABC, you can't pick it up. And you just wonder why certain questions are not asked. But this one, we might have to take this one to the universe because too much accidentally happened. And so black folks are ashamed of certain things, so we don't talk about things that happen to us. This is nothing that just happened overnight. This is, in other words, if you hear on the news, a news break that this gas line exploded and blew this house down. Well, the gas line didn't just explode. That's been happening for a long time, and something happened that day to tip it. Was it a little earthquake? Was the house? Was there an explosion someplace else that caused this? But it didn't just happen that day. So if you look at this town, it's who would have ever thought a little town with less than 20,000 people would create a news span around the world. America's the biggest loser of this because all over the world when we're trying to tell people, about freedom and democracy, and then they got to look at this. Al-Qaeda, them folks just put down their guns for Friday and celebrate. What's happening out of America, Europe, all of our allies are embarrassed, and they wonder how long will it be before there's a rumble in their country with their minorities. And, the New York Times ran a story the other day comparing, well, let me finish this to the parents. As a father of 10 black children, we feel your pain. And it could have happened to anyone, but why you? We don't know. Emmett Till. The world wouldn't be the same today without Emmett Till being killed the way he was. But the real hero of Emmett Till is the mother. The mother.
Mm-hmm.
You know, death is a quiet peace, you know. People spend money to get you a new suit and a haircut or your hair fixed if you're a woman. Because they want you to look good. And so, death. So Emmett Till's mother decided that, no, we're going to have a public funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And I want the world to see what you have done to my son. And the funeral was held in Chicago. And it was 300,000 people came out. And out of the 300,000, 250,000 either fainted or needed smelling salts when they looked at the horror of his face.
Yeah.
And so from that, the world kind of said, oh.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it kind of went away, but you can't take nothing out your mind once you see the picture. And the mistake that America is making, they don't know it. All systems do that.
Mm-hmm.
That one day, when the New York Times ran the article with pictures showing Birmingham and Ferguson, and they showed, and they said the only thing different in here is there's no fire hoses and no dogs. Well, the most important thing they left off, there's a different Negro. Not different from the standpoint of social status. You see, one of the things that happened during the 60s, Grandma who never makes statements, but we had TV, and we could look. And Grandma would say, "Look, I'm going to take care of them." Now, I'm so sick and tired of black folks using God as a pit bull.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But I never heard Grandma say that. And so the voice of calm was no longer there. And so America has a trillion dollar PR game to cover up stuff because they got a world that's looking at them. And when them white children said in 1968 at the Democratic Convention, the whole world's watching. The whole world's watching. But America, I think the downfall of this country will be what black folks tolerated. And tolerate so much the white folks who think they have power decided if we can do it to them, we do it to anybody. So they went to Vietnam, and normally when they kick me, I don't say nothing. I just say, I'll limp away. They went over there and kicked the Vietnamese, and they grabbed his foot. Think about the mightiest nation in the history of the planet. We go into countries today, they don't make flamethrowers, they don't make military trucks, they don't make airplanes, and they beating us down to the ground. And America don't see this because I got some black folks here that they keep saying everything is all right. The pictures that came out of here earlier this week and went around the world, America with our allies will never be the same because the technology today in broadcasting is so fast and moves so quick. And then now, who would ever think a little bitty town that never hear people's complaint? Listen at this town now, man. 70% black. No a white mayor, white police chief, a city council of 6 people, 5 of them's white. 50 cops, 3 minorities, and 2 of them are women. And so when you live in a neighborhood, and let me explain something first. Black folks one day is going to see that we don't live in a community. I don't care how much money you got, how much education, you live in a neighborhood. When you live in a community, that means you control your police, you control your education, you control your cops, firefighters, medical research. We don't control none of that, so we live in a hood. And what is a hood? It's something you put over your face when you're trying to hide something. And so when you stop and think about what we looked at, is very seldom get to see it. And the news people, they're not qualified to break it down because it's a mental, it's a mind thing. It's not about racism or segregation. It's about white supremacy. And most white folks don't even understand that. White supremacy. This planet Earth is 97% non-white and 3% white folks. And because of white supremacy, the 3% controls the whole planet. But that's about to come to an end now. In Birmingham, I mean, you didn't have to know nothing about the world. Well, you knew that all over the world, if people could make it to a church, communist countries, wherever, they'd be safe. And then look around one day at what we call the greatest democracy in the world, and they blow up a church.
That's right.
And had the dynamite went off when it was supposed to, half the people in that church would have been killed. Something happened and it didn't go off at the right time. And it went off right as the little Sunday school class was ending. But Time Magazine and Newsweek showed a picture of the church. And I saw a very horrible thing in the pictures. They showed a picture of Jesus Christ. And they said, can you believe it's intact? No, because if you Google or pull that picture up, you'll see Jesus' head. There was a section in the center between the ears and the top of the head that was missing. That means, to me, anarchy, the mind. So I've been knowing since then that's where we're heading. Now, what will tip it off, we don't know. They said, well, you got a black president, well, hey, man, we had a black mayor in New York City, and you still couldn't go there and get a cab.
Right.
The president today, the most powerful man in the world, can't go to St. Louis, New York, Chicago by himself and get a cab. But a white guy standing next to him that just got off a death row, a fugitive from justice, he can get a cab. And so consequently, we keep sweeping it under the rug. And then we get to the point we are, like a lot of people, they feel something, they don't know what it is. So I hope it's not cancer, but they don't want to know now, they're scared.
Right.
They're scared. Oh, doctor, please don't tell me what it is. I don't want to know. And so you got people that they tooth hurt. And those people out here that got the insurance and all. You know what it's like for a mother to have a child, 13 years old, and her face is swollen up as big as her head. But she got to wait till she get paid to be able to take that child to a dentist.
Mm.
And you sit up all night long and just rub her and rub her and rub her. And that wears you down inside because you feel less than human.
Mm.
And then you smile. And this would have happened a long time ago, what's on this way now, if it wasn't for the Christian church. I've always said the two strongest forces in the history of America are the black woman and the black church.
Mm-hmm.
Because we go there on Sunday, most of us, and do the same thing we do when you go to the filling station, fill up the gas tank. And by the end of the week, the gas tank is run down, so you go get it filled up again. And that's why my preacher got to talk loud, and the singing got to be loud, because you got to wash out the negative stuff of this week.
Mm.
I grew up in St. Louis. We had rats bigger than cats. And you used to hear about rats jumping in the baby crib, biting the baby, eating their nose off. And you don't hear that no more because of the housing projects.
Mm.
You used to hear houses catching on fire and burning down. You don't hear that because of the housing projects. And so when you look at what we're looking at now, and we don't want to admit it, even black folks don't want to admit it. It's something about a man don't like to accept the fact that somebody else controls my fate and destiny.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You get put out your house and they just throw your stuff out front. You pay for that one day. All you got to do is do what they do, and then 5 minutes later, people out there going through your stuff. Well, how you know I was going to get put out? Is somebody getting some tips from downtown City Hall that this is the list? And so when you see people building homes or rebuilding their house, you see them big iron containers where they put all the trash in. You could do that when you put people out the house. Put the stuff in that. And then in 2 days, put a lock on it and give the people the key. And then in 2 or 3 days, you move it to a dumpster.
Mm-hmm.
The embarrassment. I used to watch my mother. She couldn't come to the school for different things because she didn't think she was dressed right. And she didn't want to embarrass her children. And that things keep going and keep going and keep going. It's like you scratch your leg and you don't do nothing about it. And the next thing you know, if you light complected, it turns red. Or if you're white, it turns red and red and red. And the next thing you know, infection done sit in. If you live in these type of areas, you go to the hospital, your son or your daughters just having some poor white folks too, but they don't have all them other tragedies they have to go through. And I get to the hospital, the city hospital, and it's packed. And I sit there all day. And normally, if I've been in the hospital since 8 or 9 o'clock, and the ambulance roll up with gunshot wounds and attempt suicide, they go ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next thing you know, it's 4 o'clock, and I get in, and they say I have a touch of the flu, pneumonia. Here, take this medicine. I sit there all day. I didn't have no money to eat lunch or nothing. They don't understand that it should be like 10-cent sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there all day. And so the next time it happens, I'm not going to go sit there all day to find out that all I need to take is some aspirin. So the next time it happens to me or somebody in the house, I don't go. I don't go. And it gets worse and worse and worse, and the next thing I know, the ambulance is taking me, and the next thing I know, I got a heart condition. So what we need to do is have satellite stations. In other words, in the neighborhood, there's satellite stations. Mm-hmm. And you go there, and they determine if you go into the city hospital. So if you go there and you just got a sinus attack, they can handle it there. And then the only people that get sent to the city hospital is the ones that's sent there by, unless there's an emergency, unless you fall or hurt yourself or somebody come in the house, you're unconscious. And then that puts a little dignity. I'm in there with poor folks. Mm-hmm. You know, people drunk, cussing, and then they tell me about my neighborhood. You better separate the universal God from the church. If I was coming to meet you, you in Memphis tonight?
Well, actually, I'm in Missouri. I'm in your state, your home state.
If I was coming to meet you, mm-hmm. and I said, we're going to trick you, man. So I have somebody put a bandage around my head, and then put red stuff like blood, and you see me walk into the restaurant, what's the first thing you think?
Well, you hurt.
Hurt, right? Mm-hmm. Because the symbol of something wrong is blood, right?
Yes, sir.
And then you react to it, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the universal God is trying to tell you when you see paper on the ground and this and that, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. And we don't see this. Naturally, we don't see it. But the symbols are always there. I have 10 children. And if you ever make a mistake when you hear a child crying, it's telling them to shut up. The baby's crying because something's going on.
Right.
Could be the teacher put his hand under my dress. Could be the teacher played with my ding-dong. Mm-hmm. But you got so much stress on you from all the worrying about the rent and the car note and all that, you missed that. See, revolution is nothing but an extension of evolution. Evolution is a gradual change.
That's right.
Evolution is gradual change that leads into quick change, which is once you get pregnant, the first 9 months of gestation is evolution. That water bag break, that's revolution. And so you don't have to believe in God or the churches and all of that. I didn't come from my mother. I came through her. I'm a product of the same universe that made the oceans, the trees, the air, the wind. When my mother got pregnant with me and your mother got pregnant with you, you could have been a multi-billionaire, your mother and father. Mm-hmm. And I was just dirt poor. The same process. Same process as this. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Same process is an organ called a penis went into another organ called a vagina. Mm-hmm. And out of that penis ejaculates 500 million sperms. Did you hear that?
Yes, sir.
And Queen Elizabeth and her husband don't get no more sperms than my mama. Welfare.
Mm-hmm.
Can't read, can't write. Now, 500 million sperms is in my testicles, laying dormant. Now, in order for them to create life, it comes out of my testicles through my prostate, and when it comes through the prostate, they get charged. Charged. They're not charged before that. Man's sperms live in the testicles at a temperature 2 degrees below the body temperature. So when it comes up to the prostate and get the charge, and now you got 500 million sperms that just got unleashed. And the one responsible for me, like the one responsible for you, outran 500 million sperms and got there first. So when you make a mistake to see a Mexican or a poor black or poor white person and see them as something below a human being, you're looking at someone that sperm outran 500 million sperms and got there first. And out of that produced me. And so as I sit back and watch, see, racism don't happen in the mother's womb. There's a great movie out. I've seen it 8 times. And the only reason I'm not looking at it more, I don't want to miss nothing. Because I know there's more behind this order. And I don't want to miss it when it happens. And so Richard Gregory, Dick Gregory, born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. And I have 10 children. And what does that mean? It means the universal God. Through me and my wife created another God. That's all we are gods. Have you seen the movie Lucy yet?
No, I heard about it. I haven't seen it yet.
No, run to it.
Okay.
It's about the first human being. Time and Newsweek, 1985, ran a picture. They found these bones over 3 million years old. They don't know really how old. And they put the meat on and drew a picture of it and said, put it on the front page of Time News. And said, we all come from this lady. And then the movie is about you use 2% of your brain. You have 98% you didn't use. And what they're going to find out one day is when I'm laying in my mother's womb, I'm using 100%. That's how I get my fingernails and my skin and my meat. That 100%.
Right.
Of that brain, I'm doing that. Then when I get out here and go through all the trauma and stuff, start shutting the brain down. So we use 2%, but every now and then a chemical in my body make me go up to 2. That's what happens during rides. I'm using 100%, and the folks that's trying to control it, they go up because they see something they never seen before. And they see it, and they scared, and they don't know what happens. And then there's a thing called fight or flight.
Right.
And so anyway, what happened is God blessed me with 10 gods. and that God is in all of us, except if you're not using 100% of your brain through poverty, reacting to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so God, universal God didn't say to me, what school did you go to? Who was your mother? Who was your father? What positions did they hold? How much education did they have? Are you black? Are you white? Do you live in a mansion or you live in a ghetto? So, boom. What a beauty, man. You can't stop that.
Yeah.
So now I look around and realize that universal God let me produce 10 gods. Didn't ask me about no conditions. And then when I look around at myself when I'm shaving, and I used to shave, you realize that I never owned a car. I didn't know the year, the make, the model, the down payment.
Mm-hmm.
The insurance money, the monthly notes, the trade-in value. When I got to look at me, not other people looking, when I got to look at me and realize I put more planning into owning a Jive automobile than creating God's new life.
Yeah.
I'm the problem. I get on a plane next week and go to Budapest for a peace rally, round trip, first class, about $29,000.
Mm-hmm.
The tax money that I pay, they use that to buy bombs and a piece of it, guns to drop on women and children all over the world. So one day when I see that flame hitting my house, I just look up and say, what took you so long, boss?
Mm-hmm.
See, there's a real record. Cause y'all don't know about nothing about no accounting. There's a real accountant in the universe.
Mm.
And it never misses. That's why fall knows when to come. Daytime ain't never went 1/10,000 of a second longer. In the morning when the sun get ready to rise, it don't argue with nighttime. Nighttime says, I need 2 more seconds. Pop, slap nighttime, clean out the sky. That's who you dealing with. You're not dealing with some little Negro or some cops on the corner. That's what we're looking at. I always wondered about Rome. I wonder what was Rome like before it fell. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. And so consequently, when that happens, that power hits. So we're looking at. They know they seeing something, but they take sides on racial lines.
Right.
Now, let's go back and look at what America's been looking at there. Now, you've been there. You still there.
Yes, sir.
Now, when I was there, I thought that the demonstration started at 6 o'clock. I didn't know there was 24 hours a day.
Right.
Huh?
Mm.
Were you shocked when you got there and it was like a festivity, happiness?
Yeah, I was very shocked, and also I was very misled by the media in terms of, like, they painting Ferguson as this huge ghetto.
Wait a minute, say that again slow so I can hear you.
I was very misled by the media when I got here because I thought that Ferguson was a big ghetto for some reason, based on the media. You know, I got here, I thought. You know.
Wait a minute, they don't know. They just showing what they see.
Right.
They didn't come down there to lie. They just don't know. Yeah. If you're a foot doctor and I got a brain tumor, why should I expect you to ease my head?
Yes, sir.
And so, consequently, this payoff is coming. John Brown said it. John Brown said before they hanged him, he led the raid on Harper's Ferry.
Yes, sir.
And had he not done that, the world wouldn't be the same. And he's the number one person, if I had to put on the wall out of all the people in history of the planet, John Brown's number one, because a white man led that Harper's Ferry raid, which is where the United States government kept its arsenal. They made the bullets and the guns and the rifle. 100,000, he went there to raid it with 26 people. 5 of them was white.
Mm.
The first person to die there was a black man, Dangerfield Newby. That's the movie portrayed him in Django.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he took his 2 sons with him, and here's a white man that took his 2 sons and watched them get killed in front of him. And I would never take a child of mine, or grandchild, to do battle for another race.
Mm.
Okay, he did.
Right.
Hmm? And one thing worse than having 2 children die with you is they die first and you watch it.
Mm.
Well, they healed him, took him, and then sentenced him to die. John Brown.
Mm.
I want y'all to hear this now. Since you think you just looking at something. And they said, nigger lover, what you got to say now? And if what I'm fixing to hang for, if I was doing it in defense of rich white men, I'd be your hero.
Mm.
So my birthday is October the 12th.
Yes, sir.
Every October the 12th, I go to Harper's Ferry to thank his spirit.
Mm.
Every October the 16th, I go to Harper's Ferry. That's the day he led the raid.
Mm.
And every December the 2nd, I go to Charleston, West Virginia. That's where they hanged him. It was Virginia then.
Right.
West Virginia now. That's where they hanged him. And I walked to the courthouse where he came out of. And I walked from the courthouse to the street. And I turned left and walked 2 blocks. And then I turned right and walked 3.5 blocks. And the tree they hanged him on is still there.
Wow.
159 years ago. And I go hug that tree. Huh?
Mm.
And say, thank you, thank you, thank you. So he walks up the scaffold. You got anything to say? And he said, oh, yes, I talked to God last night. I want you to hear that, y'all. I talked to God last night, and God told me to tell you that the Negro slave will be free. You missed the last chance to free the slave with no blood. But God told me to tell you, not only will the slave be free, it'll be the biggest bloodbath in the history of the planet.
Mm.
Then they hanged him. 18 months later, the Civil War started.
Mm.
And when the North was marching to the front line of battle, they wasn't singing God Bless America, America the Beautiful. The military was singing John Brown's body is a molding in the grave. John Brown's body is a molding in the grave. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching. And I couldn't understand what he meant when he said God told me the biggest bloodbath. Well, it's the first war in the history of the planet where all the high echelon generals and colonels and majors, they went to the same college, West Point. They knew each other's strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Huh?
Yes, sir.
That bloodbath. Huh? And so this is where we are today.
Mm.
what you're looking at is bigger than just having little rednecks and a little bit. You see, when the universal God takes over, it don't need no big country, just a little bitty town. 4 miles outside of St. Louis. 1 mile around the corner from the St. Louis airport. And so all at once we all were asleep, we woke up, and the news, didn't think much of it, Little town, nobody never heard of.
Right.
That's why St. Louis going to pay a price, because all over the world, all over America, they just say St. Louis, so people, ain't nobody go bring no convention there to see and all that. In America, outside of America, they just say it happened in America. People ain't never heard of no St. Louis. Everybody that know me, and I tell them, they say, I'm going to St. Louis. I say, when you go, you got to sit your watch back 3 hours. That's what you're looking at.
Wow.
A town 7 miles from St. Louis, 70% black, white mayor, white police chief, white city council, police force is all white except 3 minorities, and 2 of them are women.
Wow.
And is it funny, out of all the press that's coming out of there, you haven't seen one of the black cops being interviewed. Now, somebody had to tell them. And they have to have that been tell you so cool about it. Don't even think about that.
That's deep. That's deep. Wow.
Just think about 3 minorities, and they didn't interview everything except pets. They looking for stuff because they got to stay busy for 24 hours for the march. And not one black cop has been interviewed. So with all the mess going on, they still control that mind. Stay away from the camera. Matter of fact, y'all take off. And then people talk about the business. That's what war is about.
Yes, brother. Brother Greg, I want to say this too as well. I actually went to another front where they was protesting. These people were actually protesting in front of the Ferguson police headquarters.
In front of what? Oh, Ferguson
police headquarters. And here's the thing, they're not even putting this on the news. Guess what's happening? You got businesses in Ferguson. You got big businesses and small businesses supporting the protesters. You got Little Caesars. You got Schnucks. You got local mom and pop shops actually supporting these protesters against the police department, in front of the police department. And nobody's really talking about that on the media.
Well, but the media don't know. That's what's good to have voices like you. Do you know what it's like when a woman's water bag breaks?
No, sir.
So then how can you explain it?
That's true.
Okay? They don't know. They've never had to go through this.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's watch this now. So, the people are scared. They're afraid. How many children you have?
None.
Let's make like you have 5, 3 boys, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you know they have reduced us black men down to explaining to your sons? If you see that white racist cop pull you over, cuss you out, behave yourself. Now remember, you think I'm your son. I came from the universal God, and what you're looking at is something, a sperm that outran 500 million sperms, and you reduced me to a level to tell me, your son, to respect filth. You teach me that when you see that cop, behave yourself. No. Teach that cop that when they see me, respect me. You're going to reduce my dignity to the level of teaching me to respect scum and a murderer?
Right.
That's a violation of God. And when you say something to children, they don't hear what you mean. They hear what you say. I love you, Charlie. I want you to know, no. You don't teach me to put a Band-Aid on it. You, my mother and father, you protect me. Because when you tell a child to respect filth, they can't believe that you degenerated down to such nothing. They think they did something wrong.
Yes, sir.
When you tell a child you got to be twice as smart as a white person, they think they dumb. These little children you're talking to.
That's right.
And so, all at once now, that quiet day, same thing. Police got to patrol, because, see, the police don't know. They think this can happen anytime.
Right.
And what you're looking at in America, in the black community, hood, I'm being occupied by foreign force. They don't have to be accountable. American soldiers, they go where they kill people, rape folks, rape little children. Their whole behavior is different.
Right.
A white cop in the white community got to be careful, because when he's off, he's in that white community. Somebody could get him. In my community, you don't have to be careful, because when you're home with your wife and your family and going to the movie and you got your gun at home, you don't pass me.
Right.
So I'm occupied by occupied force. So in St. Louis one day, a little health food store, I always go by there when I'm there and get checks cashed, right? That's before they had all the go to the bank card. So black ministers talking to, he was head of the school board in St. Louis. Had arthritis, so I said, I'll come by and talk to you and then go get you some vitamins. As I walked past this health store, a white cop said, "Hey, boy, come here." I kept walking. I could almost hear the bullet, man. I could hear the tone of his voice. Hear the tone of his voice. I kept walking. At some time in life, death is better.
Right.
I said, "Stop." I stopped and looked around. He said, "Come here." I said, "Tell your mama to come here." Oh, somebody would say, "Well, you shouldn't have said that." I don't respect filth. See, I know who I am. The only reason the CIA, the FBI, and all these cops have authority, because they represent darkness and you represent light. But anytime your light gets scared of darkness, you out of the graces of God.
Yes, sir.
And if you don't believe it, go home tonight and walk into this huge house, and there's 10,000 rats in there and 1 million roaches. What gun you going to shoot them with? All you got to do is turn the light on and they will run. That's the power God gives light. You are light. Huh?
Yes, sir.
You are light. But you don't know that because you're scared, and that's why all the CIA and the FBI ain't nothing but scum. Huh? Maggots.
Yes, sir.
And the reason they can control us, Bull Connor couldn't even read or write. But when your light stops shining because of fear, fear. So I'm there on the street. The cop walk up to me and put the handcuffs on me. They're not going to get me for resisting arrest. He don't know I'm Dick Gregory. He just think I'm another one of them folks out there, he can do anything he want to do with.
Right.
So he take me across the street to put me in the squad car. He ain't told me why. He arrested me now because of my attitude.
Mm-hmm.
So all the black folks started showing up. He calls for backup. Out of that backup comes a black lieutenant. And he said, "Oh, my God, you have messed up now." So I'm sitting in the squad car.
Mm-hmm.
So they take me out. Nice brother cop, right?
Mm-hmm.
This Gregory, sorry, he's such an ignorant white boy. And let me tell you, no, leave the handcuffs on me, put me back in the car. He's arrested me. Either y'all gonna take me and book me, or I'm gonna get you for kidnap. And that black cop changed. He got the white boy, whispered something in his ear. They went into the health food store, which I'm so close to him, it's almost like I own a piece of it.
Right.
They couldn't find nobody because he was filling up the shelves. So they go back in the back and they get this Mexican dishwasher. And they bring him out and say, "That's the one." He said, "Yes, sir, that's the one." I said, "Come here, boy." So you don't know me. My name's Dick Gregory. I said, "I'm so close to them, it's almost like I own a piece of that store. I know you need your job. You know damn good and well I haven't been in that store today. And if you want your job, you better tell these thugs out here." So he came and said, "That's not him. This is what go on."
Right. Yes, sir.
So they carried me down. It was really funny, man. A black woman was in lockup. She got to, book you in. And she said to the white boy, "Oh, I knew one day you'd F her. You have F'd up now. I wonder what your black girlfriend gonna think." She told him that,
Right.
So I get booked in, and now it goes out all over the world. Dick Gregory was arrested for shoplifting. And I come out with the bail up. The thing that hurt me the most is there was a black police chief named Harmon, one of the few with a PhD. Couldn't have got the job had it not been for us working out there in the street. Married to a white woman. The reason I'm telling you this because I'm going to tell you something in a minute. So he said, "I support my cops." Me? World renowned? And you're going to support that thug? So I get out of jail, and I say to him over the radio, "Chief Harmon, Chief of Police of St. Louis, you're married to a white woman. Chicago has a Negro police chief. Suppose you and your wife was up there, and a white racist cop see a Negro with a white woman and pull you over and snatch you out the car and bust you upside your head before he know who you are. And suppose that Negro police chief in Chicago would say, 'I support my men.' How would you feel? How would you feel? Well, thank God I've been out here long enough. I don't have to have them feelings. But, boy, you scared? PhD? Head of the St. Louis Police Department, and you punked out? Okay, all right. And so we led marches. I canceled everything and led marches. Community came out. They had a strip there with prostitutes in St. Louis. For 50-some years. It's called the Stroll. About a 27-block stroll. And the white boys come in from all over, as far as Southern Illinois. And the stroll was there for them. And we held press conference. When you come in, say your prayers, because we're going to be taking pictures of your license plate. And so I'm sitting on TV one day, and I said, we're going to get them prostitutes down and let them sit down at First National Bank, because prostitution is for the benefit of white boys. And the news guy, not being mean, he says, you mean black men don't do it? Oh, yeah, I get it. She's my sister. I get her when she leave you. She's dripping wet and with your money. Then the prostitute started rebelling. Said, you doing what white folks want you to do. You cutting our money off the one. And so we broke it up and cleaned up the street for the first time in 50 years, that whole 27th Street block.
Wow.
Now, let me say this to you, man.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up as a little boy. You go outside. You see pimps, hoes, hustlers, dope pushers. And you see the police. You see the police talking to them. You see the police. When have you ever heard a New York cop put a chokehold on an Italian mafia?
You never. They right up in Staten Island. They
kill judges, cops, witnesses, huh?
Right.
And white folk don't understand what we talking about. You will. You will.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. You will. And so consequently, the other day, the white cop. Now let's look what they said, and this is very important, and you have to hit and pull the stuff up. You'll see it.
Yes, sir.
The police chief came out and showed us a video of him in the convenience store. You saw that, right?
Yes, sir.
And said he came in and he stole. Armed robbery. That's what he said. Armed robbery. How can it be armed robbery? I ain't got no gun.
Oh, it's strong arm. It's strong arm robbery. Strong arm. They said he strong armed it.
No, he said, oh, strong arm because he's talking about that guy he pushed.
Yeah, right.
But they said armed robbery. They never said shoplifting.
Yes, sir.
So now when we look at that, I want you to look at it good, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had on a pair of Nikes.
Yes, sir.
Red and white. And a pair of white socks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you listen to the story, they tell he came out of there and the cop had the encounter with him. So they led you to believe it was about what happened at the store.
Right.
He's laying out there dead with flip-flops on. Did you know that?
Yes, sir.
You know that? Did you ask yourself who changed the shoes?
I mean, I raised some questions. It was a concern. I was very concerned.
Did NBC or CBS raise any?
No, sir.
Okay. How did his shoes get changed? Are you aware that video that thug police chief released? He's so dumb and ignorant, he forgot to take the date off of it. It said June 6th. You aware of that?
I'm aware of it now. Wow. Yeah.
June 6th. The killing happened August the 9th. See how the universe worked?
Yes, sir.
June the 6th. June the 6th. Now, we find out the cop didn't know anything about convenience store because convenience store never happened. But up until then, you think that's what he was. No. The two of them was walking in the street.
Yes, sir.
And he said, get the F out the street. Well, you could tell that to my mama. But it's a new mentality out here now. You got to be careful how you talk.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Huh? It's like a woman who don't have much money and husband killed in an accident. And she got to raise the children, And in the process of raising the children, she left for them to go to college, and in the process, she learns this computer, and she get a good job. Not pay much, but she got a job. And she don't know how she'll make enough money. So the guy who owns the company, see how attractive she is, and so every now and then he come to her desk where she works in a little cute little by herself, and puts his hand on her shoulder and kind of, in other words, saying, "Come on, let's go." And they go into his office. This is a mythical story.
Mm-hmm.
He locks the door, and he pull her dress up and have sex. And at the end of the week, he got another $400-500 on her thing. And so he thinks she loved him.
Yeah.
One day in the office, he falls out with a heart attack and a stroke, and he asks her to go to his briefcase and get his pills. And she go to the briefcase. And he give her the combination, and she opened it up and walk across the room, open the door, and throw him in the toilet. That's a hell of a time to find out somebody hates you.
Yeah.
And he dies.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I described. That a lot of folks pretend because they got to pay their house note. I'm not talking about selling sex. You got men do it to men that's working for them. They're trying to pay for their car and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
And then you found out how she really felt about you.
Right.
And another thing, for those of you all listening, I got 10 children, but I don't know what, when your water bag break, what that feels like. There's women that's never had children, so I'm saying to you now, every woman on this planet, because of how rich and how poor Queen Elizabeth, down to a welfare mother, had a baby. They got a couple of things in common. They know what it feels like when your water bag break. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So, sane black folks, when they saw that picture and saw the chokehold on the brother in New York, saw that California state trooper whipping that sister on the ground, beating her head, when they saw that, every woman that's had a baby know what it feels like when the water bag breaks. And I'm telling you folks tonight, when you see that, you can relate with it, just like a woman relating with the water bag breaking. Y'all in trouble.
Mm.
And I'm not saying this bragging. When 9 months pregnancy is up, the universe going to drop that baby if it means death to the mother and the child. That's what Elijah Muhammad was trying to tell you. You didn't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what decent white folks who have done the homework was trying to tell you. You can't go out there and change the cop, sociopath, psychopath. That's the only way they can get a job and hide that.
Right.
There is a universal order. I don't know if we in it now, but one day we'll be in it. And when it happens, you see that little town lit up when them cops came in there with that military equipment. Right. And the reason the president and all of them spoke, because they made a mistake to hit them news people, put them in jail. Violate my rights, but the press rights, huh? That's what happened. After that, the governor came in. After that, the National Guard came in. After that, the president came out and made a speech. And then the white folks is in a state of insanity because they've been trying to tell the world about this military, armed cops
Right.
That's what the right wing been talking about, but the two punks and sissies to tell the truth, they won't tell it. They just say, get your gun, get your gun.
Yep.
And when all these explosions hit, when Colorado hit, they know that's mind control. My mother don't know nothing about that. My grandmother don't know about it. Gun sales increased, huh? 41%, because they're getting ready for the revolution. Well, brother, you can get ready for the revolution as you want. But you just as evil and nasty as the rest of them. I'm just as evil and nasty as the rest of them. Huh?
Yes, sir.
I never had sex with my wife to create God's new life. I was just getting me some rip-off, man. That's a violation of God. Huh?
Yeah.
So I don't know when it's going to happen, but if you want to enjoy yourself, get you some whiskey and some crack and some coke and stuff. 300 years ago, American scientists went in some caves in Colombia because they was trying to crack the caves because hieroglyphics, because crystal. Every computer you got is crystal. Crystal's a memory bank, and they go in there spending billions of dollars trying to crack those codes to see if in there will unlock the secret of how the universe was put together.
Yes, sir.
So they didn't know, so they just, took sketches and brought them back to America. And they didn't crack it, the code, till 150 years later. And what it said was, white man, one day the white lady will do to your children what you've done to ours. And back then, cocaine wasn't called the white lady. You hear me?
I hear you. And
if you haven't looked at this, look it up. The number one drugged out state in America is Vermont, 99.9% white. I had some people interview some folks up there, and a white girl said, out of every 9 of my friends, either one of them's dead or in rehab.
Wow.
And then the Justice Department came out 4 months ago and said the number one killer in America is cheap heroin. It kills more people, listen to this, than automobile accidents and homicide.
Wow.
That's white folks. So y'all think I got one way of coming at you if I reduce the hate, but the universe comes and you white folks that's listening to me that got kin folks with college students with PhD that's drugged out. You know what I'm talking about. Black folks don't know because the press ain't talking about it. That's the forerunner.
Yes, sir.
That's the forerunner. Now, let me get back to that scene. He's laying there on the ground. Here's what they tell us. He got out the car and told the two of them. And I thought the holder was going to release some secrets yesterday because we know some of the secrets.
Right.
We know that the brother that was with the brother, the FBI have him in witness protection. Oh,
wow.
Oh? What? Did you hear me?
I just heard you. Yes, sir.
What is going on there that we don't know about? What is going on there that they had a military presence lit up the sky like you was in Iraq, huh?
Yes, sir.
You hear me? And you know me well enough to know if I didn't know that, I wouldn't say it.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Now, watch this. So, they say he rushes the cop, right? A black person out there. Cop got a gun. Now, he rushes him. And pushes him in the car. And said he reached and got my gun and the gun went off. Well, now you know the universe is in the mix. Because if I get your gun, I can't wipe my fingerprint. I can wipe my fingerprint, but the DNA will be there.
Yes, sir.
And there'll be a bullet in the car and a casing in the car. How come the white press is not asking about that? Then he gets out, and him and his partner start running, and the guy's chasing him. Pow! No, black folks is looking. They looking, man. They live there. Pow! And then the friend said he told me to run, And he runs. Now, there's some things I'm confused about. If I'm a murdering, sociopath, psychopath cop, if I kill him, why didn't I kill the witness?
Right.
Even when I thought before we found out he'd never been in the store, 2 people in, why wouldn't he assume both of them was? So what did he tell the FBI that he needs witness protection? Do you hear me?
I hear you.
So one of the things we ask is that you put a meditation in every day at 12 o'clock. Those of you listening, that the truth will come out. The truth will come out is why he have to be in witness protection, and the truth will come out of what really went down. Now, don't pray to God that the cop get convicted. Remember, the same God that created the Germans created the Jews. The same God that created the slave master created the slave. Okay, gotta be careful how you talk about my children.
Yes, sir.
So when you pray that the truth come out, you're really saying if what the white folks are saying, let it come out. If what they're not saying, stop it. And you'll be surprised. In 3 days, you'll be surprised what you're going to see. That's the power light has. So now let's look at it now. He's dead, laying in the street.
Yes.
More important to me than the killing him is how he laid there for 4 hours in the street with no blanket on, no sheet on, and all them black folks was looking at it. They brought their children to look at this dead man in the street. And the cop standing there. Now, how come when the word went out, cop under attack, how come 400 police cars didn't show up from the whole county? Or did no call go through? Is just something else went on that we don't know about?
Right.
Laid there in the street, and when people had this video that this sister had, and I don't know why they took it from it and gave it back, but that's God's work. And then it ran, and NBC or CBS, ABC, have nobody saying, wait a minute, what's the procedures when a cop kills? We ain't talking about murder, just kill. What's the procedures, When do the coroner show up? When do you come in there and protect the territory so you can get down to the bottom of what happened? You have to do that for insurance. 4 hours. And are you aware that they said a SUV came up there and took that body?
Yeah, that was disturbing. Like, a black SUV, yes.
A black SUV. You didn't see that on NBC or CBS, did you?
No, I read it online. You're right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So black folks assume, where did you take that body and what did you do with it?
Right.
Where did you take that body? Why did y'all let him lay there that long? Well, thank God you did, because the neighbors got to see something that they never thought they would see.
Right. That was basically a lynching. Like, you know how they used to have bodies just hang up there for a while?
Yeah.
Like it was trying to send a warning.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what. But I'm telling you, it's bigger than that. They say the cop was nervous. Did you hear that?
Yes, sir.
Talking to the other cops. And they were just standing there in the pictures. And white folk don't know that. The neighbors know it.
Well, Brother Gregory, let me ask you this. We think about the fact that the people that supported that Mike Brown was murdered, they out, in the media, in the public, with their lawyers. But the folks that support Darren Wilson's version, they're hidden. or they call into radio shows and not reveal their
Oh, yeah, well, first. When you call into a radio show, the FCC should look at those licenses. You're looking at something that might tip this whole country. And you let somebody call in. But wait a minute, man. I was born before there was TV, so do you know we used to listen to tap dancers on the radio?
Yes, sir.
And you know, it wasn't tap. They had a little tick, horses, that make like horses galloping. So we don't know who that was on the radio. But I know, listening to them, they weren't that educated. So did they memorize that, or did they have a sheet they was reading?
That's right.
You hear me? Did they memorize that, or was that a sheet they was reading? And so what you're looking at now is, I'd like for you to do something for me.
Okay.
Go back and look up Kent State. Kent State. And so y'all need to stop calling that a rebellion. That ain't no damn rebellion. That's a riot, huh? A rebellion is something you plan, you train for. A rebellion is not something that's ticked off when some ignorant, bloodthirsty cop kill a black man and then you rebel. No. It's all right. That's what the white children do when they go to the homecoming football game at the big universities. And their team win, they come out and ride. And if you don't believe it, when Alabama plays Auburn and Texas plays Texas A&M, the business people shut down, board up 3 days before and get out. And y'all talking about the business? Come on, white folks, every football season, y'all. 3 days before they get out of town. Because they know boys will be boys. And when they ride, they call it, if it was a big ride at the University of California, they don't call it a rebellion. Black folks stop all that. A rebellion is when you arm yourself and you rebel. You kill or be killed. That's a rebellion. And so when you look at those folks out there, they thought they could woof them off the street, but they kind of got a little bit further. You see, when the tea kettle, the water get hot before it blow, it go doo. Now you didn't buy it for that, but that's what the universe is giving you now. A little bitty town, with a little insignificant black man. Have got the whole world in awe.
That's right.
And one of the things the government need to do, because all the black folks live there, they ain't in the street. Y'all need to go by with trucks and groceries. And see to it that they're not starving in the house because they're scared.
That's a good point.
That's the first thing you do.
That's right.
Go in and see if grandma, who haven't been able to go out and get her heart medicine, don't be so damn busy worrying about the barbecue hut. Think about the people in the house. How many women have just had children in the last month that can't come out and demonstrate? Go knock on their doors. Pass out leaflets,
That's right.
That's you coming. Scared. Scared. You animal rights lovers, Have y'all gone in to see, or the animals pinned in the house because the people scared? See, there's a whole lot you can do. The white folks are scared. They ain't never seen nothing like this. And you got to be careful. The wives of the cops. Because first time white folk, cops' mother and father, girlfriend and children have to be worried. First time. I'm not worried. I'm out there in the street marching. Y'all ain't never seen nothing like that. And your mom and dad at home wondering, are you coming home tonight?
Right.
This never happened before. Y'all be able to see what you looking at. Not Negroes in Harlem, not Negroes in Philly, a little bitty town that the world had never heard of. It's the center of gravity. The reason I asked you about Kent State, the Kent State Massacre.
Yes, sir.
The National Guard went in.
It
was about the war. 99.9% white folks. And some student fired at the National Guard. And the National Guard opened up. And the students chased this one that did the shooting, and they chased him. He went right into the National Guard line. They opened up, because then we found out it was the National Guard. Called provocateur. The reason I asked you to look it up, because there were trials. And white folks sued, and the truth came out.
Yes, sir.
Provocateurs. That's what's in that crowd there. They said you come from California, and you there. You know most of them white, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Wearing bandanas around their face, huh? And if I go to the airport with a gun, they got a machine that can find it. How come you can't say, because of the guns and the violence, we're not going to interfere with your rights, but we're going to have checkpoints you come in to do the walk. And you're not coming in from no side street. You're coming up here and you're going through this. They do that when you go to a concert. Right? You tell me you can't stop guns and you got the United States Army out there? Huh? Oh, no. Because if you're not doing that, and then provocateurs out there, many of them government agents, when they're going to shoot a mayor or a cop or have a mini massacre and tip off the whole thing around the country, that's what y'all dealing with, huh?
And, you know, I want to bring it up, Brother Gregory, because there's a lot of grassroots organizing going on. And I was at the Greater Grace Church on Sunday, where it's supposed to have been a march led after the church, after the program. But it never took place, because you had dignitaries like Al Sharpton and Dr. Martin Luther King III, but the march never took place. Is that one of the reasons? Because it was a fear of the people?
Well, my brother, Ron, carried me to the airport Sunday. And the last thing I said to him is, when you leave here, go to the store and put you some dried food away, because this could be the big one. That's what I said to him.
Yes, sir.
Go to the store. The shooting in St. Louis, to show you how insignificant life is. Black folks and white folks haven't fed. I'm sure black folks have. He has a knife. He said, kill me. When do the cops shoot some person that asked them to shoot him? How you help me commit suicide?
It happened yesterday. Yes, sir. That happened yesterday. It was
but wait a minute. I got a knife.
Right.
2 cops killed me. Couldn't y'all shot me in the leg? Huh?
Right. Yes, sir.
Huh? Okay. Well, recess is just about over. And I'm not saying this facetiously.
Yes, sir.
If you look at a child and their head is swollen, you know something's wrong with their teeth or somebody hit them. When you hear a child cry, the child's trying to tell you something. We've been crying out in America, and all you got to do is lie and say he had this. I knew they said they were going to find drugs, or maybe they did, maybe he didn't. But somebody ought to check and see if them drugs was put in his body after he was dead.
Well, they had about 3 autopsies done on his body. So,
you know, there comes a time when there's certain things you can't say.
mm-hmm.
When the bankers got together, decided they was going to overthrow the country, and they was going to kill Roosevelt.
Right.
He was doing an outdoor speech in
Miami.
Mm-hmm. And they accidentally killed the mayor of Chicago.
Yes,
See, I like talking to you because you can look that up.
Mm-hmm.
And they could not tell what happened because the trillions of dollars that's invested in this country from around the world, they would have pulled it out.
Mm-hmm.
When they busted General Petraeus,
right,
over some woman, who cares about the general having sex with some woman? There ain't nothing but a bunch of hoodlums and thugs.
Mm-hmm.
They busted him because he and about 40 other military people was planning on overthrowing the country. Did you know that?
Yes, I learned it through you. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And they couldn't tell it. Now, there's certain times I can understand. Because what would have happened worldwide if the world would have known? They was planning on killing Romney a week before the election.
Yes, sir.
And then the Republicans would have had to real quickly, you know, get another candidate, and they would have done it on the phone. It would have been General Petraeus, and we'd be under martial law now. And when you rebel, you white folks who love freedom, as long as it's yours, that's when them tanks were supposed to come out for you, but you happen to get a sneak preview. Whew, what a universal order. God, you got a sneak preview, huh? And once them neighborhoods start burning, huh? Once them nuclear plants start going up, huh? Well, and them little white children you take for a walk every now and then, take them out and play soccer. And where you going when it hits? When the whole country go up in flames, huh? Because you didn't have to listen to me because them folks don't count.
Right.
See, we black folks know how much y'all hate the Jews because we work for them white folks and we hear them say them effing Jews. Y'all don't hear that. Okay. The French almost hate the Jews worse than the Germans, but don't nobody want to talk about it. The biggest rallies in the world now about what's happening in Palestine is in France. They're so anti-Semitic in the rallies. And then one day when it happened, all y'all gonna come and run in my neighborhood because you'll find out they've always been after y'all. They just gave you me to play with. And so meditate tonight for the folks that's scared. My grandmother had to walk past, and I'm saying this as a metaphor, had to walk past drug dealers, pimps and hoes and hustlers, and speak to them. Hi, Melvin. We don't bring drugs in, but we stand on the corner and sell them. But they couldn't come in the neighborhood where the white folks bring the drugs in. But you never thought you'd see your white children drugged out. Heroin, get a cheap bag for $10. You don't see that. All you got to do is home and hit up. It was about maybe a month and a half ago where the Justice Department released more people. All they left out was white. More white people die in America from cheap heroin than all the people died in America from automobile accidents and homicide, okay? All right? And so somewhere, you just can't rape folks and cut babies out of pregnant people. And when when the Europeans made all the money they want on slavery. And they told America, you can't do this no more. Oh, I love white Christians. When they get old, they try to get into heaven. That's where I get most of my information. When I released the picture of Ron Brown with the bullet in the back of his head and said there never was a plane wreck, they killed all them black folks and white folks to get Ron because he had to testify before a grand jury. There's a book out now said had Ron's death, had it not been for his death, the Clinton dynasty would have been over. That's out there. Oh, y'all go pick it up. Pull it up on your internet. And so what we're looking at now, when they couldn't bring no more slaves in here, and the slave traders decided that they would take me, 14-year-old, put a sack over my head and have me impregnate my mama.
All right.
That's where the word MF came from. And don't be stupid enough to think my mama didn't know that was me. But she went along with it because she didn't. They know they'd kill me and her and the rest of them. Oh, that black woman. Nobody would hit a child but a fool. And one day, all you women are going to pay for striking them children. You ain't never hit your car, but you hit a child. And you hear that child screaming and howling, and you keep hitting it. Oh, my God. And so, no African what's a child? Where that came from? There's old Moses standing over there. He got an abscess tooth, but them white folks don't look at you like you're human. They don't even see an abscess. So they think you got a nasty attitude. So a white boy took a 2x4 and beat you to death in front of the other slaves. And then the black women got hit and said, Kachi P, that nigga crazy. Just like it's no good there. Give me that 2x4. I'll kill him myself. That's what the word means. It's going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you, black folks. And then the first couple of times you didn't know how to do it right, so you killed them accidentally. But then after you perfected it down to a T, because even that white boy wouldn't believe a mother would kill a child. And then you got it down to a T where he didn't even have to wait around. He knew you would kill me, you thing. Well, he's fixing to find out what a thing is. That's what I went through. But what that white boy didn't know, that if I impregnated my first cousin, there's a 99% chance the baby born to form. Oh, what happened if I impregnate my mother? So all of them deformed babies start coming down through the chute. I want you to hear this real good, brother. And if you want to solve this, you white folks that say, then you got to go all the way back to then. And here's what you got to do. Only when babies was born deformed, I'm not talking about slaves, the man would always blame it on the woman. Something inside her caused it. So when these deformed babies start coming out, you couldn't sell a deformed slave except to ignorant, poor white folks that always wanted a slave but couldn't afford them. And they went to that group and said, we got some deformed slaves here. You can buy them, but you got to buy them by the dozens. Only black men in America and the Caribbean play something called the dozens. It's about your mama. See that hookup? No man on the planet played the dozens. You trace that all the way back to there.
Well, but Greg, I want to take some calls. People waiting to talk to you.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I want to take calls, starting with area code 313 on the air. Welcome to We All Be.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. How you doing
tonight?
Yeah,
you're good. God bless you, brother.
Okay. How you doing? God bless
fantastic.
You too, Brother Gregory. You too, Brother Ron.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But, Brother Gregory, there's so many things I want to say to you and ask you because you're such a wealth of wisdom. And I want to say, I pray that the God of my mother and father bless you and continue to have long life. Brother, I was just wondering, do you think the reason why a lot of black men are getting killed right now? Well, I should say, do you think that's the reason why maybe Malcolm X's grandson was kind of killed, because they maybe had a plan to do this kind of thing to escalate it to this point, but he would kind of threw a monkey wrench in that situation?
No. Ho.
Okay.
They killed the grandson because something happened that they wasn't looking for. When they assassinated Malcolm, and the white folks started reading about Malcolm, when I'd go to white colleges, they had thousands of children with Malcolm X shirts and hats on. They wasn't ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
So then they go and they kill Malcolm's grand. Get rid of the name. Get rid of the name. Now watch this. I was demonstrating in front of a federal court all night on Friday. I had to go to a health conference the next day in Philly, and somebody told me that Betty Shabazz had been burnt beyond recognition. And so I called my wife and said, "Baby, why didn't you have somebody get in touch with me out there?" She said, "I didn't hear about it until this morning." So I called Joe Madison. I said, "Joe, what time did the news break about Betty Shabazz?" He said, "About 10:30 this morning." I said, "Joe, how can one of the most famous names in the world, wife, is in the hospital, and that didn't hit till this morning?" So I ran in and asked him to upgrade me to speak early, and I got on a train and went there, and then went to the little town outside New York. And I went in the house and talked to the neighbors. And they said it was 4 men with hoods on. They didn't talk about Ku Klux Klan hoods.
Mm-hmm.
And they threw the stuff in the door. And they took the boy.
Mm-hmm.
They found him in the street, raining hard, with no shoes on, just his underwear. And then a white lady called the mother, and I said, "How does she know how to call you? How does she know?" She said she heard it on the radio that night, and so she called Percy Sutton, the lawyer. No news hit the radio that night. See how it works?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, when you go see your son in jail, don't mention this, and be very careful, because they'll kill him in jail and say he committed suicide. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what that was about. Betty, they put a tracheology in her throat so she couldn't talk, so she couldn't tell what happened. Huh?
Wow.
And so my son, baby son, was the financial analyst for the city of New York. So that hospital they carried her to, that's the one that get their finance from his organization. So he stayed there 24 hours a day around the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went in and I asked her son, the boy's mother, who they said did it. I said, "What point did you realize the government had put a chip up your butt?" And she went off. I said, "Come on, you can go off if you want. I know, I got the record." And she said, "Well, she's the one that was dating the white boy.
Right.
That she hired to kill Malcolm. Then we find out he FBI undercover."
Right.
Now let's look at Malcolm when the riots was about to start after they beat up them Muslims that Sunday. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
In Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And 10,000 folks showed up at that jail. And they got scared, so the mayor called the governor and said, "If you can call the White House and tell them to send troops in here, I think it's too late to save New York, but if the troops get here, we might can save the state." And just about that time, Malcolm came around the corner and jumped out the car, and with him got on the platform and said, "Go home, brothers and sisters, we'll take care of it. Go home, brothers and sisters." Now, you need to do this for your fans. Look up that incident. And Monday, when the New York Times come out, they had an editorial telling the folks what Malcolm did, and they ended it by saying, "No Negro should have that much power." Did you hear me?
Yes, sir.
New York Times, not the Ku Klux Klan. And there's a guy, that when Malcolm called me that Sunday, I was just finished up a nightclub in New York. So I was finishing up that Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And Malcolm called me that morning and said, Brother Greg, you know, just want to remind you, at 1 o'clock, you know, the Ottoman Ballroom, I said, Malcolm, I'm so sure they're going to wipe you. I'm not going to give them 2 for the price of 1. And when I get off the phone at 6 o'clock, I'm going to call Adam Powell and tell him after he finishes his sermon, they'll go nowhere around that. And I love you so much, Malcolm. So I don't get weak and show up. I had my wife, Leo, book me in Chicago at a 12 noon speech. I had to come back here and finish my nightclub. That's how sure I am they hitting you, Malcolm. I love you, brother. They let me know I was on the stage in Chicago at the college. Mm. They brought up the note and said Malcolm has been killed. Mm. Now watch this. What most of us didn't know is Malcolm met a brother named Pinto in Nairobi, who was publisher of the Pan-African magazine. That's the one that turned his head around. Mm. That's the one that got him to agree that the 2 of them would go to the UN, to the foot of the UN, and drop racism to the United Nations. When Malcolm was gunned down in New York at the same hour, the same time, they was assassinating the Pinto in Nairobi.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Then when we forced the government to give us the autopsy on Malcolm, because that wasn't a federal crime, huh? You hear me? It wasn't a federal crime. You only got to know he wasn't robbing no bank when he got killed. Mm-hmm. Now, if you remember what happened that day in the Ottoman Ballroom, Malcolm came out, somebody threw a smoke bomb in the back, and the black folks started running and hollering, and the 3 black guys came up to the stage. Now, he's on the stage, they're on the ground, so they shot up. Malcolm's autopsy, there's no bullets in Malcolm that's going up. They're all going down. They gave them thugs blanks. And the reason I didn't put it in my book immediately, because I didn't want him to get out of jail. But this white folk didn't believe a brother would do that. And now the CIA have admitted that they was in the Ottoman Ballroom 2 weeks before Malcolm was shot. This is what this is about. And to the brother that called into question, black men is being gunned down because the hottest thing on the planet is organ stealing. Ask yourself a simple question. If some black hoodlum thugs drive through the black community shooting black folks, how come 99% of them is men? Because men's organs sell for more than women's, okay? So when you get shot and dead, when the coroner release your body, you're not aware that they got the organs. Shavon, they said he was looking at the All-Star game that Sunday. That's the basketball All-Star that Sunday. They say during halftime he went out to go to 7-Eleven to get some Skittles and some iced tea. And that's when it happened. Well, when you do your homework, you find out something, that the All-Star, he was killed at 7:17. The All-Star game didn't start till 8 o'clock. So the half couldn't have been before 9. I know that, in the New York Times don't know it, huh? Mm-hmm. Huh? Now watch this. If you move into a gated community, the number one thing, you got all kinds of stuff to see safety. But the biggest thing, everybody coming in and out is filmed. How come we didn't see films from that gated community of him going out to get to the scuttles and coming back in? There is no film that ever been released of him going in. Okay, is he still on?
I'm still on, yes, sir.
He's okay, and so I'm saying that this has been happening. You think the government don't know about it? The president don't know about it.
Go ahead, sorry.
Ben Mountain was killed December of 71. So you think the president was tricking all of us? He didn't know. He thought that happened. Now, watch this. It was about 34 Navy SEALs that was in on that raid. 6 of them went upstairs. Those were the 6 that got all the glamour. You know 25 of those 36 have been killed. And the 6 that went upstairs, they was killed back here in America. They said 5 of them died in a helicopter crash. Y'all can Google that.
Right.
And the 6th one, the one supposed to shot him in the head, they said he was killed on a rifle range with some other Navy SEALs. Shot in his head. But you see, this white perversion. You love America? Yes, sir. You want to die for America? Yes, sir. When you say that means I've sent you on assignment. I got to kill you. Because if more than one person know a secret, ain't no secret.
Yes, sir.
And all y'all listening out there that think I'm crazy, I learned a long time ago, think that truth don't have to be validated by ignorance. So what were you going to say, brother?
I want to ask you this. I'm just really interested. I just noticed a trend, like with Emmett Till and Trayvon Martin and Brother Michael Brown. They both, like, their tragic ends have something connected to a grocery store or convenience store. Is there a connection? Like, why is it that, like, all 3 of these guys were connected to some type of store before they got killed?
I hadn't thought about that till now. But, because they got to prove that you did something wrong and you ain't got no big money to steal no car.
Mm-hmm.
So you go into a store. And the store is where they trace you. Back then, after he came out the store, they said he walked by and whistled at a white woman.
Right.
Winked at her. Then they grabbed him and no. Let me tell you something, man.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Russia when the 60s when 3 students was murdered in Mississippi.
Yes, sir.
Sherner and Goodman and Cheney.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on a plane that morning because I was in Russia because Russia, the biggest college in the world, is University of Moscow, but black folk can't go there. So the Africans go to what they call the University of Lumumba.
Mm-hmm.
So this black African, thought he was safe with the Russians. He was dating a white woman. They found him froze to death. So I get a call and I go over. Paul Robeson, communist.
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was different between communist white folks and American white folks. He goes to Russia and he was sitting on the bed in his hotel and turned on TV and they got him through the TV. He came back a blob.
Mm-hmm.
He came back like somebody had operated and took his brain out.
Mm-hmm.
The Russians. and so when you stop and think about how long and what they do, and so the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, telex to the Chicago head of the FBI, Johnson, to kill Dick Gregory. Get the mob to kill him because he says nasty things about the mob. And on the way there, some white person brought me a copy. And I got the copy about them killing me before they did. Then the big headlines, y'all can look it up in the Chicago Tribune. J. Edgar Hoover used mob to kill Dick Gregory. They killed one of my close friends, researcher and a driver. I went to Marvin Gaye's wedding and got to party and forgot to call Leo to tell I wasn't coming home on that plane. So she sent Big Mike out to pick me up, and all they knew, see, this mind control, they control the minds, make them do it. And it says Nick Will in a Rolls Royce, so he came up to pick me up, and they so wiped out when the mind control. They thought that was me, and went out on the news that night at 9:30. Dick Gregory killed, hit and run homicide. But then we found out they took Big Mike up to the 14th floor of a building and dropped him off. We could tell that by the amount of cc's blood in his.
Wow.
And so, I never had a bodyguard. I'm listed in the phone book. If that universal God I pray to, not the church, can't protect me, then I'm praying to the wrong thing. You know?
Yes, sir.
Bring it on, brother. And thanks to the movement, the NAACP in St. Louis, that when I ran the fastest mile in the history of the planet and didn't get credit for it. But I was at the all-Negro meeting in Jefferson City. So I hooked up with Brother Wheeler, the head of the NAACP, and we marched on the school. And they integrated that September cross-country, and I become the first Negro in the history of the planet to win a state cross-country championship. And then we went up to Columbia, Missouri, to the state meet for track and field. We get there Friday, but they didn't tell us there's no place you can go on campus to take a shower because Negroes not permitted, and there's no hotel. So we drove 144 miles from St. Louis to Columbia. Qualified, had to get back in the car and drive all the way back to St. Louis that night and come back that morning. I won the mile, the half mile, the 2 miles, and anchored the mile relay. Not to count the other. And we won the first time Negro school had won. That's what we went through, okay? And so this is the game, man. This is the game. And
also, I noticed, too, with the Mike Brown situation, they did the same thing with Emmett Till and Trayvon Martin. They tried to label them as thugs and pathological, miscreants. Because even with Emmett Till,
if a black man will lie to get some sex, what do you think a white boy do to control the whole planet? Come on.
Yes, sir. I didn't think Go ahead,
wait a minute, man. You dealing with a pervert. Mm-hmm. You act like America was a good country one day, and then it turned bad last week? Wait a minute, man. Do you know a white woman in America didn't get the right to vote till 1921? That's his mama, his daughter, his wife, his girlfriend. Do you know what we dealing with, man? Huh? Do you know what we dealing with? Priests been ripping off little boys' booty for almost 200 years, and they just move them to another place? Huh? You think it's just a pattern that you see? It's always been, man. Huh? The pervert, what came over here from you? A bunch of misfits, a bunch of perverts, criminals, man. Mm-hmm. And here's the big secret, man.
Okay.
Black folks in America, I don't care how many PhDs, what college you went to, how smart you are, we opt for education over liberation. That's why they can do it. George Washington didn't beat up the British for the right to open up a college. He beat up the British for liberation. They wasn't singing, give me education, they said, give me liberty or give me death. Why do you think all the thousands of black cops in America, all the thousands, you never turned on TV or a news show or paper to see a white family crying because 2 black cops shot their loved one in the back of the head 40 times? You think black cops are more spiritual or better trained? No, black cops got enough sense to know white folks is not going to tolerate that. Now, they might not know liberated people will not tolerate it. But unliberated people will say what my mother said when a cop beat me up and didn't beat up my brother. He got away. Thank God they didn't beat both y'all.
Yes, sir.
And so this is what this is about. And thank God that NAACP and the movement, I never thought I'd see the day, brother. I'd be able to tell you I'd rather be killed by someone than kill somebody. Because regardless of what you call them, that's a creature that God made. God, the Father and Mother, will take care of that. Now, y'all can play all your games you want to play. All your stuff you want to play, you can play them. Huh? I've been out there. I've been willing to lay my life on the line. Damn, my children, when the melon... Look, they tell black men that the problem in the black community ain't no black man at home. If I'd have left my wife with 10 children, they would convince black folks, the fact that he left the children. But if I go to war and they kill me, they never tell you the children's going to be affected. What kind of fools are y'all? It's okay if the army get me killed. That's not going to affect the family, huh? But I'm going to tell you something else. They tell you it's like X amount, 30 veterans commit suicide every day, and they lie about it. Send them to bad hospitals, huh? They wasn't going to war for the Ku Klux Klan or McDonald's. They went to war for America. That's how America feels about anybody that would stoop to the level of killing somebody they don't even know. And you black folks, while you was over there killing, the Supreme Court took your voting rights away. Huh? If that was Klanman, you'd be marching on, but you just like the rest of them punks. You're scared of power. You're scared of filth. When the Supreme Court said the state of Michigan, you don't have to use race as part of the system of entrance, and you black folks didn't come together because you're not liberated and say to Michigan, we will organize and tell all black folks and decent white folks, don't send y'all no more athletes, man. They done went there and beat the Supreme. You think these white folks, the way they like sports?
Mm-hmm.
The University of Texas annual football budget is $100 million, huh?
Mm.
At Ole Miss, let me show you how it works. Then you wonder why certain people don't respect you. When President Obama, won the first time, them white folks had rides on the campus, and then go to the first game on Saturday and watch them Negroes outrun Jesus and clap and holler. You got your children there. And when he won the second time, they had big rides, and you still send them children to that vicious school.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That day is just about over.
Yep.
And then maybe we could, and my horror is, I don't know what you do to unwash the brainwashing of an unliberated person. All black men, I don't care how many PhDs, how much money. We've been taught in our subconscious mind that black women are ugly.
Mm-hmm.
All black women been taught that black women, oh, y'all sitting there now saying Dick Gregory crazy. Well, you're the only woman on the planet, black American woman, that go to a place called a beauty parlor. I go to the dentist, I think something wrong with my teeth. I go to the eye doctor, I think something wrong with my eyes. You go to a beauty parlor and don't know? And don't know? Oh, don't use the word nigger, but it's okay to that yellow thing. And you black men sit around talking about the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. That's awful to say about you trying to justify a black woman. Hey, man, I got this sister, man. You see, she black, but she fine. Huh? White folks don't know we do that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
She black, but she fine. And how many black men would refuse in my mind to call that black woman beautiful? We see something that God gave us, so we say, a strong sister. You heard a white boy call a white woman strong sister. Strong sister. And then call his car beautiful. Hey, man.
Right.
I want you to meet me. You're a strong sister, but come on, I want you to look at my beautiful pickup truck. And let me tell you something else.
Mm-hmm.
Find a black man that will tell you a white racist cop took his nightstick and hit his car. I don't know none. A black American man. Why that white racist cop won't hit your car? Because in his perverted spirit, he knows if he hit your car, you'll kill him. Shoot my mama. Shoot my little 18-year-old son. Leave him out there for 4 hours. But don't mess with my car.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all call today tomorrow. Call black men and say, have a white cop that mess with your car. No. They're not trained for that. They feel something come off you. Don't mess with my car.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day when you find out who the black woman is, all hurricanes, this should be easy to check. All hurricanes start in West Africa at the very location where the slaves was put on the ship. Hear me now.
Right.
All of them. All hurricanes stay underwater and follow the same path that the slave ship followed. No slave was offloaded the ship till it got to the Caribbean. No hurricane jumps above water until it gets to the Caribbean. Hurricane will hit this country and come all the way up the East Coast, all the way to Maine. And Canada's right across the street from Maine. But Canada's never had a hurricane because they turned north, because Canada never treated a black woman like America has. Do you know who you are, sister? Are you about to find out?
Oh, Brother Gregory. Okay, I'm sorry.
Hurricanes. Uncle Tom. A tomboy's a tough girl. Tomcat's a tough cat. When it come my turn, Uncle Tom is a shapeshifter. I saw some of them in the crowd the other night. Shapeshifters. You don't mess with them. I saw some of them. I just winked.
Some of them, when you was down here in Ferguson, you saw some in the crowd?
Yeah, I saw some in the crowd.
Yeah. Well, I actually did. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to...
Go ahead.
Oh, it's something related to Ferguson. Two things. I know it's big, a big debate about whether people should bring their kids to these protests. Like
People should bring what?
Their kids, their children. Are they putting their kids at risk with tear gas?
No, that's you. How many children you got?
I don't got none. I heard this.
So you gonna tell somebody with you? Look, there was a festivity, huh? They was joyous. You didn't have to buy nothing. They was giving it away. Them women was packing up stuff, giving you water, chips, and everything. They was in the car honking like it was New Year's Eve. Why? Because they got to see something we didn't know about. They got to see them white, corrupt, vicious cops and white folks that run them. They got to sue them in trouble all over the world. That's why they was happy. That's why they was honking the horns, huh? That's what that was, a festivity, huh?
Yes, sir.
Finally got them. You don't have to worry about that because you can get on the radio. They've been going through that stuff ever since they've been there, and they bring the children, huh? They bring the children for festivity, like 4th of July. They bring the children, huh?
Yes, sir.
You can't protect them. You might think, get 5 PhDs, get a good job, and that white racist cop will pull you over and blow your brains out. They don't care. Beat up your woman. Beat up your children. They don't care because they know you don't care. You go to war for this thug and kill folks you can't even spell their name. And while you over there, they took your voting rights away. And you, it's about the end. I just thank God I've lived to see the ending. I got to go with them because I'm part of it. My tax money help them. But I just thank God I have lived to get to see it.
Also, I noticed too in the crowd, I see a lot of black men and women working together as partners in this thing. Like there's a lot of cooperation among black men and women as it relates to this protest. And I was wondering.
No. It's a joy. It's joy. Joy. You see the same thing on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, you do.
You see on the birthday party.
I think people know the change is about to happen, like you said, but when is going to drop? When is the baby going to drop? That's the big question. When is it going to drop?
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Everybody knows there's a change. Like even now, there's some type of weird change going on. But like the question you raised early in our conversation, when is the baby going to drop?
We don't know. That's the universe. We don't know. Even your wife don't know when it do. They go. Women go to the hospital. Sometimes the baby come on the way there. Sometimes it come 2 days after you get there. But when you get pregnant, that starts evolution. Evolution is a gradual naturalistic change that leads into revolution, which is quick change. And you can get all the armies you want and open up that woman's legs when she's 9 months pregnant, and you don't have nothing that can keep that baby in her.
Yes, sir.
That baby going to fall if it means death to the mother and the child. That's where America's headed.
Well, actually, there's two other people that's really been on edge. Like, they're trying to get the prosecutor replaced in the upcoming, trial for the officer. Whatever's going to happen. What would happen if the officer walks? A lot of people feel like he might have
Wait. Let's go back and look at America, right?
Okay.
You ever had Attorney Alton Maddox on your show?
I had him on last week. It was great. I really enjoyed it.
Let me tell you something. When he figured out.
Okay.
You are a white prosecutor, right? you get elected, right?
Mm-hmm.
Predominantly white folks voted for you, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. So here's a white cop that killed this black person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to prosecute. Do you know what happens to you if you find that white cop guilty when you go back to run for re-election?
You lose.
All right, then why you expect him to be different? Hmm? why do you expect that don't like you in the first place? You see, like most of these white folks, they didn't like me before they was cops. Now you give them a gun. No, except a few whose mom and dad was police. No intelligent white boy would ever be a cop. There's too many opportunities for white folks.
Mm.
So you put a white boy on the force that didn't like me in the first place, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't like me in the first place, huh? Didn't like me in the first place, huh? And give him a gun. That's what I'm dealing with. No intelligent white boy won't be no damn cop, man.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot more to the story, and hopefully if we meditate, the truth will come out, because...
well, you're not asking, all you're doing, you don't get off the universal schedule.
Yes, sir. But my thing is, like, we know that they say they allegedly found drugs or marijuana in Michael Brown's system, but what about the officer? Did anybody, like you raised that question I saw last week, did anybody test the officer for alcohol or drugs, and what was he doing hours before all this happened?
I mean, the law says if the cop was legitimately killed someone, you got to bring him in and give him alcohol and drug test. Huh?
Yes.
Let me show you how it works. Listen to this. There's in Riverside, California, it's about 15 years ago, maybe 12. A black woman was having an epileptic seizure. She's driving. She pulls the car over, get out, go to the street and flag down a car. Happened to be a white man. She said, epileptic, I'm about to have a seizure. I can't make it home. Would you take my 6-year-old nephew home to my mother? Here's the address, and then tell her where I am. And he did that. Mother rushed over there. By the time she get over there, she's in her seizure, so she has the doors locked. And epileptic, sometimes they can bite their tongue off, so you put a spoon in their mouth. So she couldn't get the door open because the door was locked. So she called 911, and 2 cops showed up. I want you to hear how the universe works. They showed up and shot through the window and hit her 14 times in the head.
How many times was it?
14 times.
Oh, wow.
Now watch the mother. Can you imagine the mother who called them cops? And here's what the cops said. I want y'all to hear this real. The reason she shot at us. There's a gun in the car, but nobody knew the cops threw the gun in. Hear me now. And so all hell broke loose. NAACP and the townsfolk, they called us 90 miles from L.A.
Right.
So we all go out there. Martin Luther King, Joe Madison, Ife Williams, myself, Reverend A.L.L. Sharpton, NAACP folks. We all there. And what happens is we demonstrate. All the press talked about us like dogs, man. And then here's where the break came. Then you know there is a God, not a church. The cops made a mistake, and the gun they threw in there with her didn't have a trigger in it, didn't have the pin. When you put it, fired. Now, had them cops said she aims a gun at us, they'd still be free. They say she fired. See how the universe works?
Right.
The difference. Had they said she aimed the gun at us, but they said they threw their own gun in there and didn't know, didn't have a pin in it. They do it all the time. So now the cops were so upset. 98% of them shaved their hair as a protest to the cop getting indicted. Then we find out that what caused it, they was at a birthday party. It's just in the afternoon. You know, on police time. You know, them old honky-tonk hillbilly. And they was angry that when they had to leave there and go, so a black woman done messed up my party. That's what they shot her for.
Oh, wow.
And that case was settled. And then on the UN, you know, you're supposed to take a UN test. They claimed that the guy that came to take the UN test, his bottle fell over in the car and spilled as it was going back to the lab. And it happens every day. Every day. But you can do that to a people that haven't been liberated.
Yes, sir.
You can make me fight for somebody else. You can make me put on a police uniform and beat the hell out of a black person because I'm part of that system. You can have a black guy standing there telling the cops to kill me. We got a knife. All you got to do is take a damn gun. I'm not even going to behave and say a stun gun, take a gun, shoot him in the legs. You got plenty of time. Because he ain't got no gun, he can shoot you. So, every day. Show you what punk these white folks are. They got all the tear gas, all the guns, everything, and we stand out there with nothing. Getting they scared because they know something about you that you don't know.
Yes, sir.
Listen to this. Didn't that white boy say, if you got 1/32 Negro blood in you, what did he say you are?
You black. You're a Negro.
Okay. Now, wait a minute. You got a pen and piece of paper close by you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then draw a silhouette of me, a black person. Just a silhouette. Don't have to do no drawing.
A silhouette of a black person?
Of me, a black person.
Oh, you?
You know, yeah, just a black person. Okay, you got it?
Yes, sir.
And then he said if you have 1/32 Negro blood in you. So in order to equal me, you have to put 32 white boys next to me. That's discount.
Right. Yes, sir.
1/32? You a Negro? You got to put 32 white boys next to me, 32 white women next to my sister, and we take it as a negative. We didn't know what that white boy was saying.
Right.
Huh? And he see you and no slave. I'm talking about all the slaves they had in the history. No slave ceased being a slave in less than 5,000 years. Except me. Black folks broke those chains in less than 300 years. Why? Because that dumb ignorant white boy didn't know who I was. He came over there thinking he was stealing the worker, and he was stealing a scientist. I built the pyramid. I went up to the Alps with elephants. He's never been able to do it. With an army, with elephants. That's why he invented a tank, because he couldn't get an elephant to go through the tank. Just the elephant. Ice hockey was invented by runaway slaves from America that went to Canada. And a guy named Richard Stanley came to watch him. Now it's called the Stanley Cup. That's who we are. That's who we are. Uncle Tom, that's who we are. Black woman's the only woman on the planet, man, in America can take a butter knife and cut your tires to the rim. And white folk guarantee that tire 20 years. It don't mean nothing. When sister asks you who is Melbourne, you go crazy. My marriage has been 55 years, and I've been so successful because I knew who the black woman is. Y'all play with it if you want.
Yes, sir.
That's who we are. Now, listen to this. You know what happened to black folks, right?
Yes, sir.
Castrated.
Mm-hmm.
Cut my testicles off.
Mm-hmm.
Cut my woman's vagina open.
Yes, sir.
Like no other person. And yet, this white look at me and know how pure I am. And let me nurse his baby.
Mm.
Did you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Nurse his baby. Babysit for him, huh? Cook his food. Do you know how clean I am for you to do this to me and I still don't have no hatred? And when you leave me there with the baby to take a trip with you and your wife, you don't have to put no guards watching me. You know who I am. I don't know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Me, the purest people in the history of the planet. And you reduced me down to an animal. That's what you thought. You the animal. When you look at me, you see my reflection. Your reflection, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is where we are. I just thank God that I was born at this day and time. And I thank God whatever happened to me to make me know that I'm light. And that other stuff over there is filth. And thank God I know the history of John Brown.
Yes, sir.
And since we're close to John Brown territory, you know, they say John Brown was crazy, you know. He killed 13 white folks in Kansas. Did you know that?
Bleeding Kansas, yes, sir.
Huh?
Bleeding Kansas, over there. Bleeding Kansas.
Yeah, but they won't tell you who they were. Kansas was the first state that passed legislation, you know, death to the abolitionists. So it's the first state that the penalty for being an abolition was electrocution. Hanging. So they hanged a white abolitionist in Kansas. And John Brown came in with his raiders and killed 13 people, but they don't tell you who it was. It was the judge and the 12 jurors.
Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
Scared them so bad they rescinded that law in 2 weeks.
Wow.
A white man, John Brown. No money. Couldn't get paid. Didn't get paid. Something in him. And finally, you got anybody else on the phone?
Oh, yeah, it was like some type of issues. I was making sure I asked some questions that people were curious about. People was curious about the Ferguson situation. I think you answered a lot. The Ferguson situation with Mike Brown. Yeah. Somebody said like something about, was he an example of mind control? So they read an article. Was Michael Brown an example of mind control?
I'm not hearing the last word you're saying.
He said mind control. Was he under mind control?
Oh, yeah.
Michael Brown?
Oh, he was Brown? Yeah. He might have been. They got everybody under mind control who they want. No, you're right. It just they put in your Kool-Aid, put in your shoes, you know, in the air. It could be, you know, and they make you do whatever they want you to do. The cop could have been under mind control.
Yeah, that's possible. Wow. I mean,
he was asking, oh, look what I done, like he didn't mean to do it. No. That's true. But this is America. This is big old nasty America with $1 trillion research on what they can do to you. What's that? You're a little young. You might not know. I can't remember it right now. What's that little thing that men used to put in women's drink?
Slip a Mickey or something like that.
No. Mickey was when they wanted to rob you.
Okay.
And so a Mickey was, I'm sitting at the bar drinking, and the bartender, I drop something in that's a Mickey. And but you're supposed to know my weight and how much, and then it makes me pass out, and then you take my wallet and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they didn't know, and you be on the highway, and you pass out and die.
Mm.
You know? And so that's a Mickey. They in the movie they would show it, Mickey. But this was a sex thing. It was so vicious. You could go into a place where nuns live and put in their food and they'll get naked.
Oh, wow.
So we know you can put something in somebody's food or drink and make them do certain things. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
I'm
going
to feel. I'm sorry. I just want to add one more question. I will get your answer to.
Yep.
The question I want you to answer to is the Ebola situation. I know that they had 2 Americans get Ebola over in Africa, and they brought them back to Atlanta, the home of the CDC. And I'm thinking about what's going on in Ferguson and whatnot, and the militarization of the police. Would there be some type of biological warfare going on here in America?
Did you hear me say, or did I say when Missouri National Guard and the Maryland National Guard, didn't I say that earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Had a dry run on controlling martial law, that when the Maryland folks came in, also Fort Detrick, who knew chemical stuff there that would make Hitler blush, and they left all the chemicals back there. But look at Ebola. See, what we didn't hear is the Africans said, no, we don't. We believe y'all injecting this into us. Did you know about that?
Yeah, I heard about the people breaking people out of those hospitals and trying to free them.
Okay, now wait a minute. And so to convince y'all that we not, they could have had them folks make like they got it to bring them back here. To convince those folks that if we doing this for you, why you think these white folk got it? Then the question you got to ask is, when I was looking at all that stuff, the Africans over there with them uniforms on, did you see? Working with them. Well, them uniforms was brand new, man. Had no dirt on them. And one shot they had where they were sitting down eating lunch.
Oh, wow. Oh, no.
Put all that stuff on. But here's the question. If them Africans over there don't know nothing about Ebola, wait a minute, then how is these white folks who's an authority on it, how they end up catching it?
That's a good question.
They say it's not a germ. It's not a disease. They say you have to have the liquid put on you. You have to, wait a minute. That's how they get it. It's just like the West Nile virus.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes,
they say, it comes from a mosquito. West Nile virus comes from a mosquito. Well, how did the mosquito get over here? Oh, airplanes. What? Egypt don't have a plane nonstop from Egypt to America. How that mosquito didn't know not to get off at the first stop, huh? No, it could. You see, when you get filthy, you can blame stuff on them. They don't even have to do it. They're capable of doing it.
Yes, sir.
And so you have this mentality, me and you going to the party, right? And they do a prostitute place, And so I'm looking for Walk Walk Mary, right? And you looking for Gladys, huh?
Right.
But they off that night. So what do we do? Say, what's your next best thing, right? Well, you have a cop mentality like that. If I can't get the right one, just get any of them. Did you hear me?
Yes, sir.
If I can't get the right one, just bring me any of them. And so, anybody else got questions?
I think it's good for Yeah, they answer it. I have a problem with my switchboard. It went out on me, but people was lining up to ask questions. But I think I asked most of the questions they want to answer. Tonight, I just want to thank you for spending time with us.
Okay, and if you get it fixed, just call Leo and we'll do it again. We'll do it again with just a number of questions.
Yes, sir. That sounds great, Baba Greg. I want to thank you so much. It's an honor to really know you, and I'm not stalking you. I swear I'm not stalking you. I see you all these. I just happen to be in the same place at the same time sometimes.
Let me tell you something. If you stalk me if you want, listen, I learned a long time ago, man, that I can walk in a room and know where the assassin is.
Wow.
It's something you do with your hands, You can kick them out. That's a violation, or you can neutralize them. That's the power we have.
Yes, sir.
That's why you don't need no gun if you understand the order. No gun. I'll end with this. 2 billion years ago, the dinosaur disappeared. But what they didn't tell you, the butterfly was there 2 billion years ago. The butterfly and the turtle. Did you know that 2 billion years ago? And the dinosaurs, someone bigger than mountains. They're gone. America's symbol is the bald eagle, the big bad bald eagle. The butterfly can fly all the way across the Atlantic Ocean, all the way across the Pacific Ocean, but the bald eagle can't make that trip.
Yes, sir.
Now watch this. In the butterfly park, there's a book out called Chaos. They talk about that butterfly park in Peking. And butterflies tonight, while we talking in Peking, flapping their wings, determine what the weather pattern going to be like 9 months later in New York City. That's the universe. Now go back 2 billion years ago when the dinosaur, was there a Catholic church? Was there a Pope? Was there a Christian church? Was there a Muslim church? Well, whatever God existed back then, that's the one that made all the rivers and streams and oceans and all the stars and every planet in the universe. That's the God. That's the God. Now watch this. All we did in the civil rights movement to defeat this nation, we became turtles. Turtles. America's the dinosaur. Turtles. What's a turtle? Hard on the outside, soft on the inside, and willing to stick your neck out. That's all. No more. Got to go to Harvard or Yale, none of that. And so thank you, my brother.
Brother Greg, it's always an honor. I just don't see how the hell you don't eat or sleep and still be able to do what you're doing. Because, I mean, like, you be flying all over the place and you don't get no jet lag or nothing. It's just being, I mean, that's amazing. I got to learn those secrets. I guess that'll be another show.
You're born with it.
I'm born with it. Okay.
Just realize what Uncle Tom is, and then you got it. Thank you, babe.
Thank you. God bless. We love you,
God bless.
Brother Greg.
Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.